でも今じゃそんなこと忘れて何かから逃げるようにないらちゃえけど見過ごしてた景色は億千万億千万突き去りしきさずはグラビティ君がくれた勇気は億千万億千万過ぎ去りし季節はもうドラマティ
All right, let's do this. This is going to be great. Oh, greetings, friends. Buzzsaw the Righteous here, and you know what? I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes, okay? They're going to be announcing the winning lotto numbers right now, and let me tell you, I'm feeling lucky. I'm feeling like I could really win this one, so I'll be with you guys in a second. Here we go. I am your host, Bill Debunks, and welcome one and all to the Debunks Lottery, where you, the viewers at home, can play for our whopping Mega Mundo $900 trillion prize. Well, I hope you got your tickets ready, because it is time to announce the winning numbers. All right, let's do this. Our first number is 3. Yes. 27. All right, yes, I'm halfway there. Come on. 16. One more. Oh, this is it. I can win this. And the final winning number, the last one to announce our $900 trillion prize is... Happy Snowman. Well, if you're the unlucky viewer at home that got the burnt toast, well, better luck next time there. Well, thank you all very much for playing, and we will see you next time. And I was so sure the burnt toast would show up this time. Why do I waste my money on these? Why does anybody buy these in the first place? It's 100 million to one shot. You have to be a time traveler to know all the exact numbers. It's just a waste of your hard-earned money. It's not worth it anymore. It's just not worth it. Though, it'd be nice to win all that money. I mean, to be able to buy a lavish mansion with secret passages, I'd love that. Lots of hot sports cars, go on VIP vacations and travel the world, eat the tastiest and most expensive food, build the best video game room in existence and fill it up with every game imaginable from the Atari 2600 all the way to the PS5 and host all kinds of parties, inviting everyone I know to celebrate, all the while never having to work a day in your life ever again till the day you die? Oh, all that money could buy me all the happiness in the world. But I lost. Again. Man, I never win anything. Here is our Debunks Lottery update. Well, sadly, nobody won the $900 trillion prize, so we are going to raise the price up to $900 trillion and $1. Well, I hope you get out there and get those tickets, because you may just be our next winner! Sorry, guys. I got too much going on. Just go ahead and watch the video. I gotta buy another lottery I gotta go run some errands, buy all the essentials. Milk, bread, dish spray, bug soap, everything for house and home. So, power on, everybody. The burnt toast is gonna win this time. I just know it! The facts are the facts, and it is what it is. The lifetime struggle to make money is very real. There are many ways to make a lot of money, be it working overtime or additional jobs, trading on the stock market, or just budgeting and spending your money wisely. And more often than most, the goal is simply to provide for yourself or for your family, as well as aim for a better life. But people often lose sight of that goal and often try to accumulate more and more wealth by any means necessary, even if it is to the detriment of others. And the desire for that wealth becomes powerful and all-consuming. A desire we all know as avarice, or...
Nope, just greed.
Greed! Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
It doesn't. Yep, we're wrapping up my 7 deadly sin countdowns with the sin of greed. Though I'm sure you're wondering why I'm ending these lists with greed and not pride, as pride is considered to be the sin from which all the others arise. Well, that's a discussion we'll table for later, as for right now, we will be looking at 10 video game characters whose greed for money and wealth either get them into all kinds of trouble, or worse. This includes acquiring wealth for legitimate or even illegitimate means, including simple thievery or hunting for treasure. Pretty much any way anyone seeks anything that has any sort of monetary or personal value. And as usual, one character per franchise, and considering the value of secrets and story elements, I am putting up my usual spoiler warning. So, empty those purses and turn out your pockets and let us count the ways. When it comes to greed, the lowest common denominator of acquiring any sort of money is being a thief. There are many types of thieves out there, from the more common brand who steals just to survive, to the more white-collar brand of thievery, you know, those con artist types and those stealing just for a thrill, and even the more noble Robin Hood types like Sly Cooper, a huge honorable mention who missed my list. But as I am looking for those whose greed gets them into trouble, let me ask you a simple question. Is the profession of thievery truly meant for men or mice? About time I talk about someone in the Kirby series other than Kirby himself. And while King Dedede didn't make the list because he only ever steals food and not treasure, let's talk about the real gang of thieves made for this list. The titular Squeak Squad. Comprised of 4 members, each member of the Squeak Squad represents a core strength of the group. Storo is the muscle, Spinny is the speed, Doc is the brains, and they even have their own henchmen called the Squeakers. Yeah, what a plus. All of them led by their charismatic leader named Daroach. What best describes Daroach is, I don't know, Fawful's minion, how did you describe him again?
The disowned love child of based Mouser and super drunk Jafar. Respect my headcanon!
Not how I would describe him, but okay, sure, whatever. How does that even work? Anyway, no. Respect the headcanon. I said respect it! In their first appearance in the titular Kirby game, the Squeaks go and pilfer a whole bunch of treasures all throughout Popstar, including treasure from King Dedede and a yummy strawberry shortcake from Kirby. And being the big eater that he is, Kirby goes to get it back because you don't mess with the boy's cake! Despite Kirby's efforts and some intervention from Meta Knight, Daroach eventually opens one of the treasure chests only to find not a cake or any sort of treasure, but an eerie puff of smoke that overtakes the Squeaks. We soon learn that the puff of smoke is a creature called Dark Nebula, the self-proclaimed king of the underworld, and Kirby works to free the Squeaks from its influence and destroys it with Daroach's triple star weapon. At the end of it all, the Squeaks leave to find treasure elsewhere and give Kirby's cake back to him as a thank you for saving them and as an apology for their mischief. From then on, they, well, Daroach in particular, make guest appearances in later games as friends of Kirby, though they still have that greedy streak that defines them as thieves. Well, just stay away from weird-looking chests, guys, okay? I mentioned quite a few thief archetypes in the last entry, but almost forgot to mention that one special kind of thief often romanticized and sung about in popular media. So, why don't we all sing together?
Your heart, fiddle-dee-dee, being a pirate is a wretched thing. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. pirate!
There are lots of the classic types of pirates found throughout gaming media. There's even futuristic types of pirates, or even a combo of the two, as well as the real-life kind of pirate that is actually pretty frightening. Even considering the sin of greed and the trouble it brings, it still leaves me with a lot to choose from, so based upon my own personal experiences, I feel it is best to just keep it all in the family. The issue of pirates in the Mega Man franchise is very much lightly touched upon, with Pirate Man from Mega Man and Bass as a prime example. But thanks to the Mega Man Legends trilogy, we can cast the scallywag spotlight on that family of merry bandits, the Bonds. Like with the Squeak Squad, each member of the Bond family represents the unit's core strength, with Big Brother Teasel Bond being the somewhat excitable and slightly unhinged leader, and Baby Brother, Bon as the muscle. But no doubt the Bond's strongest asset is the brother's sister Tron, the masterful tech whiz who creates all their vehicles and machines, as well as their own group of minions, the Lego-like Servbots. And much like pirates do, they go to rob various islands on waterlogged Terra of their wealth and refractors, soon running afoul of Mega Man Walnut when they reach Cadillacs Island. But despite everything they throw at them, Mega Man triumphs over the Bonds and destroy all their battle mechs, leaving them with a respect for their adversary, not to mention a crush on him in regards to Tron, and they help Mega Man out of a trap set by the ancient robot Mega Man Juno, and later on escape with a huge refractor, thus not empty-handed. Before that, in the prequel, The Misadventures of Tron Bon, Tron soon learns that Teasel accrued a huge debt owed to unscrupulous loan shark Lex Loth, and set about paying the debt the only way she knows how, by pillaging, digging, shooting, and looting everything that's not nailed down, till she goes and rescues her brothers and fight back against Loth and his assistant Glide. Though it seems they are enjoying the pirate life, they are not above trying to go on the straight and narrow, though it seems they have yet to learn how, as in Mega Man Legends 2, they try to go legit but fail at it, and are forced to team up with their adversary Glide and others to find the fabled Mother Lode. Once again, trouble ensues for them though, as they take on Mega Man once again, and help him out once more in his battle against the Ancients. As of this game, the pirates have yet to help the Caskets get Mega Man down from Elysium. If only Tron and Roll could agree on a solution. Well, actually, if only Capcom could start caring about this franchise again. Come on, Capcom, it's been 23 years! Get with the program and give us Legends 3 already! Let's make a return trip to the Zelda series. And still on the subject of pirates, let us quickly touch on Wind Waker. And when you think Wind Waker, you instantly think of Tetra and her own lovable band of pirates. Before her twist reveal as a certain princess, she comes across as feisty and a bit callous, but it belies her kind nature and, honestly, not really a good choice for a list about greed, so let's sidle into Wind Waker's direct sequel, Phantom Hourglass, where Link has to rescue Tetra from a mysterious ghost ship and soon elicits help from our real number 8 choice, the salty sea dog, Linebeck. If you ask any islanders about Linebeck, they might tell you that he is a fearless adventurer, a true man of the sea. However, when Link and his fairy partner Seela first meet him in the Ocean King's temple, we soon find he is anything but. He is actually cowardly, a liar, a real jerk, and yes, a greedy treasure hunter. In fact, when Link mentions that he is looking for the ghost ship, Linebeck utterly freaks out, as it is rumored that the ghost ship holds treasure as well. Eventually, though, they decide to team up and use his ship to find 3 missing spirits and ultimately find the ghost ship. What puts Linebeck on this list is this. When the truth is revealed that there is no treasure aboard the ghost ship, he threatens to quit the adventure and take his ship with him. But he quickly comes around when the Ocean King offers him one wish for his continued help. All of this goes to show that his aim all along was his love for treasure and is willing to sever ties with anyone if it doesn't benefit him. Heck, at a few points during the adventure, they get accosted by a pirate girl named Jolene, who was a former girlfriend of Linebeck who had her treasure stolen by him. Need I say anything more about how greedy he is? However, By the end of the game, he changes his tune, as after helping Link against the monster Bellum, getting his ship destroyed in the process, being possessed by the monster and saved afterwards, Linebeck decided that the pursuit of treasure wasn't really what he wanted at all, and asked the Ocean King for his old ship back. This comes as a shock to Link and the others, but I guess after all that he's been through, Linebeck realized that no amount of treasure compares to the value of a lifetime of adventure.
Oh, how frightfully witty that I should be bringing up this gaming franchise. Spyro!
The Spyro series is one of the original all-time greatest series that got its start on the Sony PlayStation. And I remember it as the game my niece often played in her youth, and I always remember the arguments we had over how the title character's name is pronounced. It's pronounced Spyro, not Spearow. Good times. Anyways, each of the games has our heroic dragon Spyro saving his fellow dragons and/or otherworldly friends from different evil forces. Whether it's against a brutish orc-like villain, or a magic-spewing dinosaur, or a King K. Rool reject, he never strays away from a challenge. Throughout all the games, he often has the help of a lot of friends and allies, though in the case of Moneybags, I wouldn't consider him either or. Making his first appearance in Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, Moneybags immediately gives off the impression that he is truly an unscrupulous, avaricious, snooty salesman. If you want to advance to other stages, cross bridges, or even gain new abilities to beat the game, you gotta pony up some gems and pay Moneybags. And each and every time he either comes up with a lame excuse or just flat out tells Spyro, "Pay me now," all the while speaking in his posh, upper-class accent that says, "I'm filthy rich and much better than the average penniless peasant." Ugh, he would have totally made my arrogant jerks list if he wasn't more greedy than stuck up. He's so greedy, in fact, he doesn't care who he sells his wares to, even if he has a problem with the one he's selling to. At some point during the game, the main villain Ripto comes to steal a power crystal from Spyro and his comrades, and does it using a few bombs that he bought from Moneybags. The bear gets his in the end, though, as Spyro's friend Hunter beats him up and gives Spyro back all the gems he spent throughout his adventure. This isn't the last we see of Moneybags, though. In Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon, he now works for the new main antagonist called the Sorceress, and is tasked with guarding the cages holding captured allies, which he is willing to release for, you guessed it, a small fee.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
Of course, each ally you save doesn't think too highly of Moneybags, and they each promptly give him the old heave-ho in the most painful way. Though not as painful as when you find Moneybags one last time, as he tells you he has found the dragon egg he plans to sell for Major Moolah. Considering his mission has been to find stolen dragon eggs, how exactly does Spyro react?
Come here.
Oh, yes! It's now your turn to give this bear his comeuppance and chase and roast his Ursine behind.
Kill that bear! Burn him! Burn him!
Once that's done and you get all your gems and the dragon egg back, he leaves to pursue a life of poetry, which at the time of Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, he does, but still charges you gems for crossing a bridge. Thank goodness it's only once. And by the time of A Hero's Tale and Shadow Legacy, he has become a more reasonable shopkeeper with an odd change in accent and a family of his own, and he's still pretty greedy. Sheesh, the more things change, am I right?
Now, brave knight, unsheathe thine Excalibur and prepare to fight! Yeah, I'm talking about Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight is another indie classic that has earned its place among the greats, and I just realized this is the 4th indie title I've talked about in these lists. You know what that means?
Sorry, what?
Yeah, that joke kind of fell flat. I don't even know how baseball got into the equation, so... Well, whatever, let's move on. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, Shovel Knight. A game I'd like to call an ode to the classic 8-bit side-scroller and proving that 8-bit games still got it even in the new generation. Shovel Knight is all about the titular knight who wields a shovel as opposed to a sword and uses it to fight, dig for items, and bounce around like a certain Disney character we all know. His quest is to save his girlfriend Shield Knight from the clutches of the Enchantress and her own team of knights called the Order of No Quarter. Each knight seems to correspond to a certain theme, not the least of which is their chief financial officer, Treasure Knight. And no, that is not hyperbole, he really is the Order's financier. Right from the get-go, he tells you the only thing he ever truly cares about is his wealth and the acquisition of it. And he sails under the seas in his heavily armored submarine, the Iron Whale, in search of it both legitimately and not. He loves treasure so much that in a conversation with Plague Knight, he goes into a fit of rage when Plague Knight mentions he is after something more valuable than gold. Usually he is on good terms with the other knights, including Propeller Knight and Mole Knight, but he is not above even betraying his comrades to get that beautiful bling. And he will gladly fight you and pick you clean of your money when you lose, or heck, even while you fight him. While he attacks with a giant anchor, what looks like to be sea mines, and slam attacks that causes money to fly all over the place, his best attack is summoning a chest that sucks you in and not only robs you of health, but also 500 of your hard-earned gold. Yes, this guy weaponizes his greed. You fight him in the Iron Whale and later on in the Tower of Fate, and at the end of it all, his underlings take all of his ill-gotten gains and leave him with but a penny to his name. Well, that's what you get for being a real miser, chump. One more deadly sin, and thus, one more jump into Dead Rising 3. As most of the psychopaths in the game embodied the 7 deadly sins, this was an easy game to come back to. Though I've only talked about 2 of them, and I've talked about Carlito from the first Dead Rising, let's go for 3. And the only thing to fear worse than jealous fanboys or gluttonous food hoarders is black market healthcare.
It's mine. You hear me? You took all this from these people. You don't get it, do you, kid? You have to seize the opportunity, or you lose the profit. Simple. The free market at its finest. You're a murderer. I'm a businessman. You're my next export. Sunshine. No, so much no.
Yep, our protagonist Nick does battle with the unscrupulous surgeon, Albert. While he is a surgeon and he has gone psychotic from the zombie outbreak, it is quite clear he is taking advantage of the pandemic and seeks to make a few extra bucks from harvesting healthy organs from very healthy and very scared survivors. Can't you tell from all the bling he's wearing that he's all about the money? When the battle starts, Nick is injected with a hallucinogenic drug that causes him to see the outbreak survivors as clones of Albert. All the while, Albert stalks you and the survivors with his bone saw. You really have to pay attention to the mannerisms of each figure to determine the real Albert. If they're hiding or covering their face, well, it's a safe bet that they are not Albert. In the same vein as Kenny with his envy and Darlene with her gluttony, Albert's greed can be used to his detriment by breaking the various organ coolers sitting around the area, which causes him to lose it and therefore give you an opening. Then Nick faints from the drugs and the process starts all over again. This is a real trippy boss fight, but once you beat him, he is pumped full of his own drug and hallucinates zombies all around him. Screaming that they won't take his organs in a fit of psychotic paranoia, he proceeds to eviscerate himself. Oh boy, remind me to never call this guy for an appendectomy. And like with Dead Rising 3, let us make one more return trip to Persona 5. Unlike my own experience with the Dead Rising series, this game alone does a great job having bosses that is reminiscent of the 7 Deadly Sins. What with Sai Nijima and her envy, Goro Akechi and his rage-filled need for revenge, and Futaba and her battle with her laziness. Originally, I really wanted to talk about Junya Kaneshiro, as he is all about money and wanting to acquire more of it, and willing to go to great lengths to get it, even threatening to sell Sai and her sister Makoto into sex slavery to do it. Heck, the fight with his shadow self in the metaverse includes the use of a giant, weaponized, piggy-shaped bank vault. Sadly, the thing I can't ignore is that his sin is not greed, but gluttony. I know it's confusing as Kaneshiro has nothing to do with food, but I guess his spin on gluttony has to do with him already having a ton of money and spending it for his own amusement, only to want more money in place of it and nothing else. So, yeah, try as I might to justify it, I just can't. Big honorable mention to this guy. So let us turn to the actual avatar of greed, the greedy corporate CEO, Kunikaza Okumura. I had mentioned this guy very briefly back in Top 10 Destructive Revenge Seekers, so let's really put the spotlight on this big cheese. As I said before, Okumura is the top CEO of a vast food manufacturing empire responsible for a chain of fast food restaurants you visit throughout the game. According to his only daughter Haru, he was once dedicated to making others happy by making delicious food, but as all companies go and they get bigger, Okumura soon lost his way and gave in to his own greed. Obsessed with profit margins and success to the point of working his employees to exhaustion and even death, and secretly working towards discreet takedowns of rival companies, all culminating in a warped philosophy that is constantly repeated by his own shadow self.
Overcome failure at any cost, even if it means betraying others. That is our family motto. The cold reality of kicking people down is part of business. Virtues and sentiments are for losers.
Not even the happiness of his own daughter means anything to him, as when he declares his ambition to enter politics, decides to marry Haru off to the scumbag member of an influential family, all for the cause of creating political connections. This, along with the suspicion of him being behind the mental shutdowns happening in the game, is what ultimately springs the Phantom Thieves into action. They storm his palace, which is a giant space station, and take him on as a timer counts down to the eventual self-destruction of his palace. This gives you more incentive to take him on as he throws various enemies at you, robots whom are cognitions of his own employees being sacrificed for the glory of his company. While he doesn't actually use his greed in battle like Treasure Knight did, it goes to show how far he is willing to hold on to it, like with Albert in the previous segment. The Phantom Thieves then take his treasure and escape after his defeat, but he is then killed by the mysterious Black Masked Assassin. And if you've seen my Destructive Revenge Seekers list, you know very well who it is. This culminates in his eventual mental shutdown during a press conference and subsequent death, but not before they find his treasure was a model kit he wanted as a kid but never got because of constant family debts. That tends to be the very nature of greed, how something so small and simple can lead to a lifetime of wanton desire. And in Okumura's case, it led to tragedy. Even though Okumura was a lousy father, a ruthless CEO, and an all-around terrible person, he didn't seem to actively try to murder anyone, though for the sake of his business, I wouldn't put it past him. However, I do know of a CEO who wouldn't have qualms of killing innocent people for the sake of his business, and you'll find him in none other than Final Fantasy VII, one of the greatest games of all time and something I hold dear and true to my heart. Something I owe to my dear friend Christy, aka Auroran Flash. Girl, if you're watching this list, I just want to say, you are flippin' fantastic, and I forever thank you. Anyway, as any fan would know, Final Fantasy VII is often about the timeless battle between our hero Cloud and his sworn nemesis Sephiroth. But we tend to forget that the real villain of all of this is, Well, some people say it's Genova, but I feel it's mostly due to the machinations of the Shinra Corporation, a powerful mega conglomerate that literally rules the world and run by its namesake CEO. Like with Okumura in the previous segment, President Shinra is all about making the money and spreading his influence throughout the world, though he is more active in silencing protests and dissension against his own company. A company which, by the way, is responsible for sucking the planet dry of its coveted Mako energy and threatening its health and safety. So yeah, typical power barons seeking to profit off of a dying world, leading to the group called Avalanche to lead guerrilla tactics against Shinra and shut their Mako reactors down. In an attempt to label Avalanche as a terrorist group as well as take them down in the bargain, he has his men destroy Sector 7 where Avalanche was hiding, not caring at all about the innocent lives taken in the process, and later deciding not to rebuild it, but to instead start looking for the Promised Land, said to be rich and abundant with Mako energy. It goes to show that in the pursuit of money and power, he could care less about who he steamrolls along the way to achieve it. Heck, he even says it himself. He soon becomes the victim of his own machinations, though, as he is soon apparently killed off by Sephiroth himself, leaving his more ruthless son Rufus to take the reins. While the original PS1 game didn't give him enough screen time, his presence is felt more in the remake, along with a slight alteration of his final moments. He begs Avalanche to spare his life, even offering them lots of money, but of course, Barrett isn't interested in that, as he demands that Shinra clear Avalanche's name and take responsibility for the destruction of Sector 7. The President, though, scoffs at this, as he points out that it detracts from Avalanche's mission to save the planet, and just before Sephiroth sends him to meet his maker, he goes on a long speech about what he is all about, similar to Okumura's own philosophy in Persona 5.
I know what I want, and I take it. I take advantage of whatever I can, and discard that which I cannot. There is no room for sentiment or guilt.
While Kunikaza Okumura was said to once be a good man concerned with his customers' happiness, it's pretty clear that President Shinra has no morals or goodness whatsoever, dedicated to the pursuit of money and power to heck with the consequences. And as he found out, karma often comes back to bite you when you least expect it. And boy did it bite! How is it that I've done all these countdowns about the 7 deadly sins and not reference anything from the Bible? Well, for the interest of this list, as well as the runner-up spot, I feel it is necessary to relate to you the biblical tale of Judas Iscariot. As any Bible-believing Christian would know, Judas was one of the original 12 apostles who served Jesus Christ during the time of the New Testament, and granted authority to drive out demons, heal the sick, help the poor, and spread the gospel, as well as apparently being in charge of the apostles' purse and therefore their financial needs. And of course, he is infamously known as the one who betrayed Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane with a kiss and had him handed over to the Sanhedrin and then the Romans to be crucified. It is not actually known what his reasons for betraying Jesus were for. However, as he was known to have accepted 30 pieces of silver from the Sanhedrin for his cooperation, as well as possibly stealing from the apostles' purse, it could be safe to say that greed was a more likely factor. Whatever the reason was, Judas expressed a powerful remorse over his actions, returned the silver, and later took his own life, unable to live with his insurmountable guilt. And you can be sure a most awful fate most likely awaited him, for as a certain pirate once said,
"The deepest circle of hell is reserved for betrayers and mutineers."
So with all that said, I'm sure you're wondering, what's the parallel? Where are you going with this, Steve? Well, imagine, if you will, Judas as an anthropomorphic pig who betrayed his friends for the sake of money and had absolutely no remorse at all whatsoever for his actions. Well, you have Pigma.
We're getting paid a lot of cash for this.
Even the likes of 2 greedy CEOs and a murderous surgeon doesn't amount to the sheer and utter nerve of Pigma Dengar. Once a member of the Star Fox team alongside Peppy and Fox's father James, Pigma betrayed the team to the clutches of the evil Andross and later became a member of Star Wolf. While the circumstances of his betrayal are not really known, considering how he acts in the games, it's safe to say he was offered a huge sum and was only ever in it for the money. Screw teamwork and friendship and all that.
That reward's as good as mine! My beautiful reward!
Much like the last few entries I've talked about, this guy has no morals and absolutely no qualms and regret over betraying his closest friends. Heck, in Star Fox 64, he pretty much downright mocks his old teammates right in Fox and Peppy's faces.
I'll do you fast, Peppy, old pal. Daddy screamed real good before he died.
I know I mentioned Treasure Knight before as willing to betray his comrades, but the Order of No Quarter is a hot mess in and of itself. And Okumura is a real scumbag for wanting to marry his daughter off for political reasons, though never expressed any bloodlust towards her. Pigma, however, betrayed 2 good men and literally left them to die, and is more than willing to do it over and over again, all for the sake of money. Man, you really want this hog to get what's coming to him, and in Star Fox Assault, he does. The Star Fox team is embroiled in a battle with the dangerous Aporoids, a techno-organic race of bug-like creatures all working with a hive mind mentality and seeking to spread their infectious influence all throughout the universe. Of course, Pigma, now on his own and no longer a member of Star Wolf, has found a core memory of one of the Aporoids and, true to his nature, decides to take it and sell it for a huge profit. Yeah, big mistake there, pal, because after toying around with it, the hive mind of the Aporoid soon overtakes Pigma, and in a huge twist of pure karma...
That's a brick.
And I thought the battle with Albert was freaky. This pretty much rewrites the book on freaky. It's like an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation featuring the Borg. Directed by David Cronenberg! Because of his absolute greed, he becomes infected by the Aporoids and turns into a techno-organic nightmare, now joining their cause to assimilate all life. So naturally, the Star Fox team has to take him down, a victim of his own awful fate. Sadly, this isn't the last you see him, though. In Star Fox Command, he is reincarnated into a strange cube-like form and proceeds to try to get his own revenge on Star Fox, but is soon beaten. Honestly, there's not more to say about Pigma and his destructive greed, so let's end it here. Hope those 30 pieces of silver was worth it, you rotten pork chop. You knew he'd be on this list. And you know, he'd be the one to say it.
I'm a number 1!
From the moment I conceived this list, from the moment I conceived all of these lists, I knew the number 1 spot for greediest character in video games had to go to Wario. I think I speak for everyone when I say that if you look up greed in the dictionary, Wario's picture would be destined to be next to it, because he is the one character we all think about when it comes to greed. Still, one wonders where he came from and exactly what is he. Some say he is a cousin of Mario, others say he was a jealous childhood rival of Mario's, and I've often heard of people describe him as a sort of a bizarro Mario, the complete mirror opposite of him in every way. Well, maybe we'll get more clarity on this one day if they make another Mario movie. As everyone knows, Wario first got his start as the main villain of Super Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy. He takes Mario's castle out of jealousy, and Mario promptly kicks him out. Apparently after this, Wario became popular in the eyes of fans as he earned his own spin-off franchise where he only has one goal: treasure, and lots of it. And often the endings of each game depends on how much treasure you collect. And yes, his greed has often gotten him into trouble in facing his own brand of karma. In Wario Land 3, his treasure hunting soon releases an evil spirit that he promptly defeats. In Wario World, a black jewel he had stolen in a previous adventure comes alive and takes all his treasure, and in Wario Master of Disguise, he uses an invention to become a thief and at the end of it all returns home, but forgets to take all his ill-gotten gains with him. The best Wario moments come in Wario Land Shake It for the Wii, as the ending of this game confirms exactly the kind of greedy jerk Wario really is.
Oh, yeah. Hey! What just happened?
He saved the queen of the Shake Dimension, only to throw her away like a sack of garbage, and proceeds to take the bottomless coin sack back home, and have it promptly stolen by his nemesis, Captain Syrup. Boy, karma really cuts like a knife, doesn't it? Soon, though, he would enter into another spin-off series, a spin-off of a spin-off, apparently, and in the same vein as Kunikaza Okumura and President Shinra, he would start his own video game company where he creates very entertaining and very weird micro games to sell to the public for a profit. Well, actually, that's not very accurate. He has his friends create the micro games for him and proceed to take all the profits without paying them a thing. The usual hilarity and karma ensue, and soon leaves Wario without a single cent to his name. Throughout it all, he's everything the last 9 entries were: a treasure hunter, a thief, a pirate, though mostly for show, a complete con artist, an opportunist, a greedy CEO, and a guy more than willing to use, abuse, and even betray others, even close friends, if it meant lining his own pockets. Honestly, what more do I need to say? Well, I guess we could wrap this all up with why I decided to end these lists with greediest characters and not with arrogant jerks. Well, while pride is said to be the greatest sin and that from which all sins manifest from, a similar argument could be made for greed. After all, 1 Timothy states, "People who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." Well, there you go. A perfect description of all the characters on this list for good or mostly ill. Aside from all that, though, in various ways, Wario kind of represents all 7 deadly sins. Let's break it down, shall we? Envy takes Mario's castle out of pure jealousy and goes to get a bigger castle, and still shows that envious streak in party and sports games. Wrath has a real short temper, and Lord have mercy on your soul if you steal his treasure or even his food. And that brings us to Gluttony. Is a real big eater, especially of all-you-can-eat steaks and sweets, and it doesn't matter how bad his teeth hurts or how big he gets. Heck, he'll even use his ill-gotten girth to his advantage. Sloth is really lazy and lethargic, and like with Linebeck and Moneybags, won't do anything unless there's profit in it for him. Lust. He doesn't really show any preference for the opposite sex. Remember how he just kicked that beautiful queen to the curb and took her sack of money? Except for one quick scene in WarioWare if you win enough of his micro games. You know she's a high schooler, right? Pride. Thinks of himself too highly and is not above stepping on others to get to the top. And we already finished talking about how Wario is the greediest video game character of all time. So, when it comes to being the lowest of the low, Wario is... excellent! My name is Buzzsaw the Righteous, and I can't think of any other way to sum this list up but with a Tony Stark quote.
No amount of money ever bought a second of time.
Very, very true. While it is important to make money for home and family, The time spent pursuing wealth can be better spent with the people we know and love. And frankly, the time I've spent with you making these countdowns is time well spent. I thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed these last 7 videos all about the 7 deadly sins. Just know that if you're facing times of tribulation and you feel alone and the world is turned on you, know that my heart and soul is always with you, and I hope and pray earnestly that you all find the love and happiness you deserve. So until next time, until we meet again, look sharp and
Have a rotten day!
Sun shining through my window. It gleams like honey, so golden and so sweet. You can almost taste it. Driving through Diamond City, I wanna escape the crowds and concrete fall where the hill and sky meet. Sitting inside my pocket, I packed a cupcake to sweeten up my view when I make it up there. And another day fades away, but it's a magic memory, one that I'll keep close to my heart for any gloomy day when the view's not quite as sweet as today. Yesterday seems away down where the buildings hide skies, but the horizon greets me with possibility. Just gotta keep on climbing. Concrete, traffic, street lights, they all fade away as I approach the blue sky. Feathering clouds in my eyes already said my goodbye. I'm in tomorrow, shines bright up at the top of this hill. It always will. I'm in tomorrow, shines bright up at the top of this hill. I know that it always will.
I may be a craven little coward, but I'm a greedy craven little coward.